Welcome to your daily news deep dive. We're digging into the latest in artificial intelligence today.
Yeah, lots happening. It's moving so fast.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So we're focusing on some key advancements, their real-world impacts. Things like a big investment in defense tech, how AI is changing workplaces, telecoms.
And some serious legal and creative industry concerns, too.
Right. Our aim, as always, is to give you that clear understanding, cut through the jargon, and deliver some real insight.
Exactly. And this mix of news really shows how AI isn't just theoretical anymore. It's really embedding itself everywhere.
Okay, let's jump right in. First up, this defense tech startup, they've just raised $31 million in Series A funding.
That's a significant amount.
It is. And their focus is specifically electronic warfare. Now, just quickly, electronic warfare.
Yeah.
Think of it as, well, controlling the electromagnetic spectrum.
Like jamming enemy radios or radar, right? Or protecting your own.
Precisely. It's super important in modern defense strategies.
And what's interesting here is the private investment. Usually this is the realm of the massive defense contractors.
Good point.
So seeing venture capital pour in like this, it suggests a real belief that maybe smaller, perhaps more agile companies using AI can really innovate here, create more adaptive EW tech.
So potential for faster progress, maybe some disruption.
Could be. It definitely signals confidence in new approaches, likely AI-driven ones.
Okay, moving from defense to the workplace. We've got insights via NLW from Professor Ethan Mollick on AI adoption.
Yes, Malick's work. It's about organizational structure, isn't it?
Exactly. He's proposing this three-part framework for businesses to actually capture the gains from AI. And the argument is that these new AI agents, the ones that can act more independently.
They make having a structure even more critical now.
That's the idea.
It makes sense. You can't just, drop AI tools into a company and expect magic. Malick is saying you need intentional design.
Right.
Rethink workflows, roles.
The whole architecture.
Right. Otherwise, you risk chaos or just missing the real potential. Especially with agents doing more complex tasks. It's like needing a blueprint before you renovate, not just buying new tools.
Okay, let's switch gears to a specific industry, telecommunications. Optus CEO Stephen Rue has been talking about AI's role.
What's his take? Big transformation.
Pretty much. He's saying AI will seriously improve customer service, make things more efficient, but, and this is crucial, he added a big caveat.
Which is?
Technology won't completely replace humans. People are still needed for decision-making.
That's a refreshingly balanced view, actually. Acknowledging AI's power, but also, the limits, especially in telecoms where customer interaction and complex problem-solving are key. You still need that human judgment, that empathy. AI handles the routine, humans handle the nuance.
Seems sensible. But speaking of downsides, there's a pretty stark story out of Alabama.
Oh, what happened?
The Guardian reported on a law firm, Butler Snow. They were paid millions to defend the state's prisons. And they submitted legal filings with fake case citations, completely made-up cases.
Wait, fake cases? How?
They used AI for legal research, and it seems the AI just hallucinated them. This was in defense against an inmate's claim about being stabbed.
Wow. That is incredibly serious.
It really is. The potential sanctions for the firm are huge, obviously.
But beyond that, it's a massive warning sign, isn't it? Using AI in critical fields like law without rigorous human oversight.
Yeah, the ethical alarms are blaring.
And the practical ones. Imagine relying on fabricated precedent. It undermines the whole legal process. It really shows how careful we need to be, how vital that human verification step is.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift again. Another area facing major AI challenges, the creative industries. Biban Kidron wrote about the UK government's copyright proposals.
The AI training data issue. This is heating up.
It is. The core plan seems to be allowing AI companies to use copyrighted work for training by default. Creators would have to actively opt out.
Which sounds simple, but it's incredibly difficult in practice, right?
That's the argument. How do you opt out if you don't even know who is using your work?
Yeah.
There's no transparency from the AI companies about their training data sets.
Exactly. So creators are worried this is essentially giving AI firms a free pass to use their work without permission or payment.
Elton John was quoted very forcefully opposing it. He said, "The government have no right to do this to my songs or anybody's songs or anybody's prose."
You can understand the strength of feeling. It feels like potentially a massive devaluation of creative work. a kind of mass cultural theft, as some are calling it.
It definitely highlights that tension between wanting AI innovation and protecting creators' rights and livelihoods.
Finding that balance is going to be key. Right now, this proposal seems tilted pretty heavily towards the AI developers.
Okay, slightly lighter topic, but still important. TechCrunch put out a simple guide to common AI terms.
Oh, like LLMs and hallucinations.
Exactly. Large language models and, yeah, the phenomenon where AI makes stuff up.
That's useful. As AI is in the news constantly, everyone needs a basic grasp of these terms, just to follow the conversation.
Definitely helps demystify things. Now, related to trust and AI, there was an Eye on AI podcast featuring Ankur Banerjee from Checked.io.
Trek.io, they work on decentralized identity, right?
The core idea explored was, what if AI agents needed digital passports? How do we build trust in them?
Interesting concept. So, using decentralized ID to verify who an agent is, what it can do, who it works for.
Exactly. Without needing a central authority to hold all that data. They discuss digital credentials, the limits of biometrics, things like the MCP protocol. It's about building a foundation for an AI agent economy where you can actually trust the agents you interact with.
That seems increasingly necessary as agents become more capable and autonomous.
For sure. And speaking of capability, the Sequence noted that last week was potentially the biggest week of AI releases in recent years.
Oh, really? Who was involved?
The big players, Google, Microsoft, Anthropic, all pushing out major updates or models. Just shows the pace isn't slowing down at all.
No kidding. Constant innovation.
And on the practical side of building with AI, Towards AI shared lessons from analyzing over 100 LLM case studies.
What were the key takeaways there? Things changing fast.
Definitely. They highlighted things like the importance of developing locally first, realizing prompting alone isn't always enough.
Right, needing more sophisticated techniques sometimes?
Yeah. Also that fine-tuning might need less data than people thought, the rise of multimodal capabilities, handling images, audio, etc., and how crucial interoperability is, making different systems work together.
So the best practices are evolving quickly.
Seems so. They even mentioned updates to their beginner to advanced LM developer course reflecting these changes.
Makes sense. The field moved fast. Now, you mentioned multimodal. Towards AI also had a really deep dive on combining multimodal LLMs with RAG.
Yes, retrieval augmented generation. This piece was extensive. It tackled the limitations of traditional RAG, which mostly just works with text.
Right, text-only RAG can't really see or hear. It lacks perception of the physical world or non-text data.
Exactly. So multimodal LLMs are the solution. They can process and understand text, images, audio, video, all sorts of data types.
The article used a great example, didn't it? About a broken bike chain.
It did, illustrating how a text-only model struggles, but a multimodal one, if you show it a picture, can actually understand the visual problem and give relevant advice.
That makes the advantage really clear. It mentions some key multimodal models, too.
Yeah, the big ones. OpenAI's GPT-4o and GPT-4v, Google's Gemini, Meta's Llama family, Alibaba's Qwen, xAI's Grok, DeepSeek.
A growing list. And it broke down the architecture.
It did. Briefly, you have modality encoders, like a vision transformer for images or an audio encoder, then the pre-trained LLM itself, a fusion layer to combine everything, and the generator to produce the output.
And different ways to connect these parts. Projection-based, query-based, fusion-based.
Right. It also explained vision transformers, or VIT, how they process images by breaking them into patches.
And specific encoders were detailed, like CLP.
Yep. CLIP contrastive language image pre-training, with its dual encoders and shared embedding space, great for zero-shot tasks. Flamingo, known for few-shot learning, using a perceiver resampler and frozen LLM parts.
LLVA, too, the large language and vision assistant.
Yeah. LLVA trained end-to-end using CLP's encoder and an LLM like Vicuna. It detailed its two-stage training. And for audio, things like CFormer and Wave2Vec 2.0.
Wave2Vec 2.0 is self-supervised learning from raw audio.
Correct. And OpenAI's Whisper for speech-to-text and translation using a transformer encoder-decoder.
So a lot of complex components working together. Then it moved on to multimodal RAG specifically.
Yes. Building a RAG system that can handle multimodal data sources.
Oh.
It involves multimodal data loaders, embedding models sometimes joint, sometimes separate, but aligned a vector database that supports multimodal data.
Like Pinecone, Weaviate, Chroma.
Exactly. And then the multimodal LLM itself, plus careful prompt engineering to handle the mixed inputs. And finally, evaluation.
Evaluation must be complex for multimodal systems.
Extremely. The article went deep here. You need retrieval metrics like precision, recall, MAP, NDCG, but also modality-specific relevance checks.
And for the generation part.
Standard text metrics like BLEU and Rouge, but also things like CIDR and SPICE for evaluating image captions or descriptions, cross-modal consistency checks using CLI score, image quality metrics like FID, audio evaluation, often needing human annotators or things like Frechette audio distance.
Wow, that's a lot to consider. Plus system-level things like response time and cost.
Absolutely, and different methodologies. Human evaluation using another LLM as a judge, quantitative benchmarks, A/B testing. It's a whole field in itself.
Definitely sounds like a complex but powerful approach.
For sure. Just a couple more quick hits. Towards AI also touched on graph-based NLP, using LangGraph and large concept models for things like sentiment analysis.
So using graph structures and language processing, more specialized stuff.
Yeah. And Google released Gemma 3N. The interesting thing there, requires only 2 gigabits of RAM.
Oh, wow. So much more accessible, runs faster on regular CPUs.
Seems to be the goal, a move towards more efficient models.
That's a positive trend.
And finally, let's wrap the news with a message from Demis Hassabis of DeepMind.
What did he have to say?
On the Hard Work podcast, as reported by The Decoder, he basically urged people not to stop studying coding and science, despite how fast AI is moving.
Interesting perspective. Keep learning the fundamentals.
Yeah. His point is that those underlying principles of computer science, scientific thinking, they remain absolutely essential.
Not just for building AI, but for everyone to understand and navigate this AI-driven world, right?
Yeah.
Address the challenges it brings.
Exactly. A reminder of the enduring value of those core skills.
So, quite a sweep of news today.
It really was. From defense investment and workplace shifts to legal pitfalls, creative rights battles, and constant tech innovation like multimodal ARUG and more efficient models.
Yeah, it really paints a picture of rapid advancement, but also growing pains and critical questions about ethics, oversight, and adaptation.
The tension between potential and peril seems to be a constant theme.
Definitely. And the sheer speed of innovation in the models themselves and the tools to build with them, like REG systems, is just relentless.
So that brings us to our final thought for you today. As AI gets more powerful, more pervasive, woven into everything, how do we collectively steer it? How do we maximize the benefits while actively mitigating the risks and, crucially, preserving human creativity and critical thinking?
That's the multi-trillion-dollar question, isn't it? Something definitely worth pondering.
Indeed. Keep thinking on that as you go about your day.